Hello everybody, my name is Coolblue, and I am bringing you guys a Sunday Evening Cup Series Report 2013, 11, 24, and I still never fixed those numbers, and it looks like it's going to stay that way, but it's numbered like that for a reason, guys. That is for saving stuff on my desktop purposes, but let's not get into semantics here. You guys don't care about that. It is November 24th, which was last Sunday, which is actually 2 days ago now. Essentially 1 day ago. It's midnight right now, 1 o'clock in the morning, close enough. So this will probably be the fastest turnaround time I've had for a Sunday Evening Cup Series report. And the main reason for that is because we have some big issue to talk about. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go through the normal standard things that we all know and love and understand. So the first thing, of course, is the new addition to the SECS report, which is the picture or the something to make it look a little bit different. And as you guys can see right here, there's just those times where you come into a game and you just see your team pick carries. Just all straight up carries, and you have no choice but to pick a support. But you just see carries everywhere. So I decided to put this picture there because I actually had a game like that recently. Like I was playing a whole bunch of Ember Spirit, and typically I play supports whenever I play my games. But I was playing a whole bunch of Ember Spirit, so I picked Ember Spirit. Like first picked Ember Spirit, and literally my team picked Anti-Mage, they picked the Tiny, and they just pretty much picked a whole bunch of carries. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is going to go well. Needless to say, we lost that game, not because we had all the carries, but just because we were playing really badly. Specifically me, but let's not get into details, guys. This is not about me, this is about the Sunday Evening Cup Series, which, of course, we had to go through our topics, which are as follows: the tournament report, the issue report, the awesome report, my thoughts, which is my personal moment to talk about things that I feel I need to talk about, or want to talk about, and of course, the summary. So, just to let everybody know ahead of time, if this is your first time watching one of these videos, I do spend quite a bit of time talking in the issue report because that is one of the bigger things for me to make sure I make everybody understand that these are issues happening in the background that we are going to have to sort out and that we're sorting out, that we're dealing with. So, just keep that in mind. This video might go like 40 minutes like it did last time, but most of it will probably be spent in the issue report. So as far as the tournament report, because that is the first thing I usually give out, just some statistics on things. Congratulations to Team Love, which stands for Lincoln's over Vanguard every time, which I thought was very creative. I didn't catch on to it until after the event, because like I saw the team name in the game, but I didn't put two and two together that they were called Team Love until after. I don't know. Very creative use of words and stuff. They obviously won the tournament, so a very creative play on their part too. So congratulations to them. They are this week's winner. Moving on to the ticketed match numbers, we actually had 21 matches ticketed and casted and put on Dota TV. Now that said, there were 21 games there. One of them I casted, and this is actually kind of ties into the issue report, but we'll get there when we get there. But basically, that one game that I cast was technically, you can't really count that one because I forgot to turn my open mic on in Dota TV. So nobody who was watching could actually hear me when I was casting, even though I cast the entire thing. It was like a 20-minute long game. But needless to say, we had 21 games posted, so technically only 20 of them are fully casted. And then that one that I casted happened to be the one that had the biggest issue of all that I've seen so far in this tournament. And like I said, we'll get to there next. But before we do that, of course, guys, we've got to talk about that chat comment of the week. And the chat comment of the week does go to TD5 Shoutouts. Man, I probably butchered that, but basically, TD5 Shoutouts made this comment at 4:41 p.m. as you guys see, which is during check-in time. Basically, not a lot of people in the chat this time. Must be MLG, haha. And that's actually a good thing to point out because I personally, like, and by me personally, I mean outside from me casting and just me as a person who follows esports such as Dota or anything else like that, I'm not really in tune with other events. Like, I didn't realize MLG was happening until like Friday, and then it didn't really click into my head that MLG was happening all weekend, which means that it might affect the Sunday Evening Cup series. It didn't hit me until like the day of Sunday, where not a lot, well, like Sadoroth pointed out, not a lot of people were actually in the chat. That was like, oh crap, MLG is going on. People are probably trying to watch that Navi versus whoever they were playing game. And yeah, so as a result, we had a little bit less teams check-in this week. We had about 51 teams check-in total, which is down from our normal, which is about roughly 60 teams each week. So that is definitely a little bit less, but not like a gigantic gap where we only had like 25 teams check-in this week. So just for all those who are wondering, if there is a huge event like, I don't know, the International 4 or something going on, we will cancel the series, but MLG, I guess it wasn't big enough, or we didn't react fast enough, so we didn't cancel it at all this week. Or maybe because we only have a certain set time. I don't really know. I don't know details behind that, but I do know that next week might be a little bit different because that is Thanksgiving week. For a lot of people, they were going out of town, visiting their family, hanging out with friends. I know me personally, I don't want to admin on Thanksgiving weekend. I will if I have to. And by have to, I mean if Spit-Wad says yes, we're gonna go with the tournament, I'm gonna be like, okay, cool, I'll be here anyway. Not like I'm actually going anywhere special. I just kind of want a Sunday off. Just one Sunday, at least Thanksgiving Sunday, because I also got a whole bunch of homework stuff too that weekend too that I probably should be doing now. But this report is a little bit important, guys. So enough about that comment of the week. Thank you, Satorov, for making that comment. You got the chat comment of the week, which means that you win a gold star. That is in the form of a verbal gold star because I don't actually have a gold star to give you. So enough of that. Moving on to the issue report. We see that the first issue, and by far the biggest issue that I was talking about before, is prize drop feeding. Okay. So for all those who don't know, being that this is a ticketed event, being that the Sunday Evening Cup Series is a ticketed event, we are able to put our matches on Dota TV, and and having the matches on Dota TV also allows for all of our matches to have prize drops for viewers who are watching in Dota TV and in Twitch if if the streams are connected by the streamer and they're also in the game and they're casting live. So, long story short, viewers are allowed to get items if something happens significant. Like if there's a multi-kill that happens, then a viewer might be able to, or a viewer has a chance to get a prize drop. If there's a courier killed, then a viewer has a chance to get a prize drop. And when the first blood happens, viewer has a chance to get a prize drop. And also when the game ends, like when the victory happens, I think like 3 viewers get a chance to get a prize drop on that one. So there are a lot of ways to get prize drops, and there are a lot of ways to purposely cause prize drops to trigger because it's not that difficult. All you have to do is just kind of have many people on your team die at once to get a multi-kill and that's a free item. Or, as we saw happen here, or as I saw happen before my eyes in that one game that I casted, that I mentioned earlier, that one single game that lasted 20 minutes, this happened. And it happened right before my eyes, and I didn't really know how to react initially. But then afterwards, like after the match was over, I contacted both the teams, and I'll talk about what happened to them in a few seconds. But long story short, I witnessed all this happen, and somebody bought like 9 couriers. No lie, they bought 9 couriers total, sent them into the fountain, and fed them all to the fountain. And prize drops happened because of every single one of those courier kills, or courier deaths. And needless to say, both teams afterwards, like after all the dust had settled, both teams essentially got banned for next week, which means that they will not be able to play next week. It was initially that the team that was on the losing side, they were banned for next week, and the team that was actually feeding the couriers to the fountain, they were actually banned for the rest of the tournament for the season, which means that they weren't able to play, or they will not be able to play in the finals if they did win the game. And as far as naming names, I do want to do that. The matchup was Latex Wolves versus Top 5. And top 5, they've actually won a previous tournament. I think they won the SECS 2 the second week, which means that they have a spot guaranteed in the finals, which is basically 8 teams, or I think 7. I don't know, how's it 8 teams? Teams that were first place from the previous SECSs, they basically come together and just do like a nice final best of 1 type series where the winner takes all, and then they get an extra $100, but it's only for them. I think. I still haven't talked through the details of Spit-Wad. But long story short, they had a guaranteed spot there, and if they were banned for the rest of the tournament, that means that they were officially dropped that position that they won, that they earned, and potentially, I'm not saying it was guaranteed, but I'm saying potentially, they could have lost that $100 that they were guaranteed before the win of that last tournament, and it would have defaulted to the person who placed second. So, there was a huge consequences for that. And the reason for that is because these matches are ticketed by Valve, which means that Valve has given us the permission to put all of our events on Dota TV. And the last thing we want for Valve to get the impression of is that we're just having the players feed couriers, or letting the players feed couriers and also feed multi-kills, so that their friends who are watching Dota TV or whoever's watching in Dota TV can just get free item drops, because we do not want that to happen. First of all, That is money that Valve is losing. While me personally, on my personal side, I've mentioned this many a times that I think the pricing of of items in Dota is ridiculous. And by ridiculous, I mean redonkulous. By like $15 for a Sand King set is not worth it in any page in my book. I think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. But that said, I do not want us, and by us I mean everybody involved in this tournament and people in the community in general, because I have heard that this has happened before to other tournaments and other events, to just be taking advantage of the system like this, where you're just basically feeding couriers just to get free prize drops or free item drops to your friends who are maybe watching the match, and you just keep doing it until they finally get an item and they let you know, and then you say, okay, cool, and you end the game. Because that is not cool at all, guys. That is what breaks the tournament, not really what makes the tournament, or makes the community. So we want to avoid that at all costs, and like I said, for the teams that this happened to, Latex Wolves, or for the teams that did this or participated in this, Latex Wolves and Top 5, they're basically banned for the week. Now, that said, we're going to write a new rule, because rules are important, guys. We're going to write a new rule inside of the SECS rule page. It just basically says that any team caught doing this in the future, the way we'll handle this is basically if you have 2 courier deaths within 3 minutes of each other, because a courier takes 3 minutes to respawn, but if you have 2 courier deaths within 3 minutes of each other, sorry, 2 or more, like, no, hold on, 3 or more. So you can have a maximum of 2 within a 3-minute time period, which means I'm not saying that you can have your courier that you have from the beginning of the game go die and then buy another courier and send it into the fountain to kill it to try to get more item drops. We're not saying that you can do that. As a matter of fact, if we can prove that you're purposely feeding couriers into the fountain, that is an automatic ban for potentially next week and potentially the rest of the series. And by the rest of the series, I mean this could extend as far as the rest of the season or the rest of the series in general. Like, you are not allowed back in here at all. As in your team name or that person who did it, potentially just that team name, or that team in general, like all 5 people, are not allowed back in this tournament. But the way we're going to handle it, though, is that, like I said, if you have 3 or more courier deaths within 3 minutes on your side, then for the first courier, that is a ban for the week, and for every courier afterwards, that is going to be a ban per season. So what that basically means is that if we, well, not assuming that SECS goes for like 20 seasons or something like that, and you feed 9 couriers like this one team did. Top 5 was actually a team that actually fed the couriers. But if you feed 9 couriers into the fountain, that, of course, that was not including the original courier back at home, I don't think. But if you feed 9 couriers like that, you're pretty much banned for 1 week on the first one. So the third one, you're banned for 1 week, and then you're also banned for Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, Season 8, pretty much the rest of the entire SECS forever. So what we're trying to get across is that, guys, do not do this. And by guys do not do this, I mean the players who are actually on the teams. Do not do this. If you get caught doing this, as in like if we catch wind of you doing this, of course we will catch wind of you doing this, because the only way to get prize drops is if the match is ticketed, and the only way to get ticketed is if it's sponsored by an admin or ticketed by an admin, as in it's on Dota TV. So we can go back and watch and see what happened, because we can do that. That's what Dota TV allows us to do. But if we catch wind of all that happening, then yeah, there will definitely be some severe consequences. For the teams that happened for the first week, we kind of let them slip by a little bit for 2 reasons. One, it was the first instance that me personally, the head admin for the for running the series, and not really the whole entire series in general, but just for running the weekly series week by week. That was the first time I ever witnessed that happening. Of course, the teams, they were actually very, very cooperative during the whole entire process of me telling them that what they just did was not acceptable at all. So that helped them out as well. Originally what it was the team who was on the losing side. The reason why they got banned for 1 week was because the game ended, like, I want to say the game should have ended like 6 or 7 minutes prior to the courier feeding. And they never called GG. But the game kept going on and on and on. And they were feeding some multi-kills. And initially I was like, okay, whatever, just multi-kills. It takes a little bit of time for that to refresh before people get drops for that. I'm pretty sure they're not doing it on purpose. They just don't have that much farm. Like, literally, Warlock. There was a Warlock in the game on their team that took a long time to get to level 5, or level 5. Like, I'm talking like well over 12, maybe 13 minutes to get to level 5. Not even level 6. So their team was not doing well to begin with, and that was Latex Wolves. So I wasn't going to come down hard on anybody until I saw one of the players from top 5. They literally bought like 3 couriers, and they sent them to the fountain. And in order to buy 3 couriers, for anybody who doesn't know, couriers do have like a refresh time when you initially buy them. I think it's like a 10-second refresh time in the store. So you have to buy one, then you have to wait 10 seconds, buy another one, wait 10 seconds, buy another one, wait 10 seconds, something like that. And basically what he did was he bought like 3 couriers, sent them to the fountain. And it's just casual, all casual like. And then he got killed. And of course he was Alchemist, he had boosted travel. I think he bought back. And then, no, he couldn't buy back. He bought, yeah, no, he did buy back. He bought back, TP back in, did it again a few more times, died again. And then while he was dead, he bought another courier and also flying. And then when he came back alive, TP back in, proceed to feed more couriers. So that was a blatant, like a extremely blatant abuse of the whole entire item drops. And that is why we initially wanted to go ban top 5 for the entire remainder of the series, including the finals that they were qualified for. So for anybody who's wondering, that's why. That's the whole reason why behind it. And for anybody who wants to go ahead and watch what happened, I told you teams Latex Wolves versus top 5. That is in the week of November 24, 2013 for the SECS. It should still be up there. It's the one with no audio from the caster because Cool Blue, like I said, forgot to turn my open mic on. So you can check it out for yourself. It happened at, I want to say like this, yeah, 13-minute mark. No, that's too soon. 16-minute mark. The game lasted like 20 minutes. I didn't realize what was going on until like it was pretty much too late and items were given away. Anyway, like I said, this was a huge issue, which is why I'm spending a lot of time talking about this, because we've actually, and by we've I mean NA Dota in general, has actually had an issue with this in the past for another previous tournament. I think there was the Neolithic, or no, the North American Elite, whatever the name of the tournament was. They had an issue with that as well, and like people were complaining about it too. So it's popping up here again. I want to make sure that we nip this in the bud as fast as we possibly can, because we need to exterminate this as fast as possible, because we want to discourage this extremely highly, because this reduces the quality of the tournament, in my honest opinion. Because if all the team's going to do is just sign up every week just to lose and let the other team feed couriers, one, that's going to ruin the experience for the viewers, and two, that's also going to give not going to give that much practice in general to the team that is actually winning and potentially feeding the couriers, and also to the team that is taking the time out of the day to lose in the first round just to allow couriers to be fed. So I mean, it's a waste of time is what I'm trying to put out, and it's also an abuse of the system, and we all can get in a crap ton of trouble, because what Valve could do is Valve can just take out the fact that you can get prize drops for killing a courier, and that will suck all around, because when we talk about TI3 and all this stuff, and we see a courier death, we're all excited because we know it's a legit courier kill, because Nature's Prophet TP'd in at the right time and got a courier kill, and boom, you got a prize drop, and you feel special, you feel attached, you feel engrossed in the tournament, and we don't want Valve to take that away from us. So we have to manner ourselves very well, guys, which is why I'm spending, like I said, a lot of time talking about this. So that was a gigantic issue. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one because it ties into this one as well. Team and player bans. So like I said before, top 5 and Latex Wolves, they are banned for next week, which means that if they show up next week, if they check in next week, they will be taken out. If yeah, just if they check in general, they'll be taken out next week. The week afterwards, they'll be able to play. They can play fine, whatever. The finals, they can play. It's perfectly fine. Just they're banned for next week. I don't know how else to put that. But as far as that goes, the way we'll work that, just for anybody who's wondering, the technicalities behind what we'll actually do. And as far as the death, we'll actually enforce this too. We'll try to enforce it as deeply as we possibly can. And by that I mean as deeply as we reasonably can, because we can't necessarily track every single person all the time. But the way we'll do it though is we'll basically keep a list of the team that is banned, like a team name that's banned, also the players on that team, on each team that are banned, and pretty much for any team that has three or more of the same players that were on the banned team, that team will automatically be disqualified for that week, or just not put into the roster. If they do make it into the roster and we do catch wind that team is actually still playing, then they will be disqualified, which will suck even worse, because that means you assembled your players to play and you get disqualified. It's like, oh, okay, we're done because of an administrative decision, not because we actually lost the game or we dropped the game or anything. So, like I said, if you have or if they have 3 or more, which means they can have two people from the same team playing on a different team or playing under a different name, just not an assembly of more than those 2 people, then that team automatically be disqualified. And if that team name does appear again during the ban week, of course it will automatically be taken out. And another thing too is that if we have to ban a player, like if there's somebody, like just one player, who's doing something so ethically wrong that we just have to ban them specifically, then we will go to the gates of, well, I can't necessarily say the gates of hell, because that's not accurate. That's not an accurate assessment, because admins, we got things to worry about too. But we will go as far as we possibly can to make sure that they see the proper ban that we've assigned to them. So if we have to ban a player specifically, which I don't think we'll be doing anytime in the future, we'll probably just stick to banning teams in general. We'll enforce that as heavily as we possibly can, because we have to make sure that we get the message across that when we ban somebody, we mean we ban somebody. We mean business when we put these type of consequences in, which is why we try to refrain from making them. We try to do all we can to try to mitigate it, and if it happens initially, we'll probably get a lesser thing, or a lesser punishment. And also, if you cooperate with us, then it's a high chance that you won't get as severe of a punishment as you would have before, initially. Specifically in the case of top 5, like I mentioned before. So, yeah. If we do hand out a ban, though, just know that we will enforce that. So, just a heads up, just a warning for anybody who's planning on getting banned anytime soon. So, moving on to the next point, outside casters. So, I didn't realize until actually last week, but I realized that under the Battle5 page, under the rules, we have a section that is directed specifically towards observers, casters, and streamers. And what it says under it is observers are permitted if both teams agree. If you want to be included on the official stream list, please check in between 4:45 and 4:55 p.m. by typing something like caster checking in --twitchtv blah 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 in chat. Use chat to coordinate with teams and find game passwords. Be proactive. You may use and modify the following overlays if you like, and there's some overlays listed. So, I realize that that's still there. That is actually legacy type stuff, as in like we need to go and change that, or I need to go and change that. Because how we're doing it now for outside casters is we're still allowing outside casters, but the outside casters have to come to us through Casters Network. And what Casters Network is if you guys are paying attention to any of my last things, or if you follow me in general, you know Casters Network is something that I personally created to help casters come together and find work and all this stuff. But I'm using that as a platform to bring casters that want to cast on the outside into the Sunday Evening Cup series. So it allows me to do 3 things. One, it allows me, of course, to throw my own group out there and give it some publicity, and also get some people into it, so that way we can have a nice community built from the ground up. We're actually at 50 members by the way, for anybody who's wondering, myself included, so 49 other people. And also what it allows me to do too is it allows me to communicate directly with the people who are casting for us easily, because I kind of have a streamlined process for how I do things with CastNet. So using the stuff I already have set in for CastNet, I can just kind of easily say, okay, you want to cast for the Sunday Evening Cup series? Cool. I'll send you the default documentation that I sent for everybody else who's in CastNet, who is also getting involved in SECS, and also add you to the appropriate groups in Skype, because we use our Skype calls to keep ourselves coordinated, and give you the passwords when the games go through Skype, because that's how we do. And it's all because of CastNet. So it's a process that makes it streamlined and easy, and that is key when you're talking about a tournament that has only 64 or potentially 64 teams, or overall 63 matches throughout the entire 1 day or 7-hour time period. So that is key for us, or for me personally. So we're going to stick to that, as long as I'm the main admin running things for the tournament, that is. And also the third thing is just in general, because people who are interested in casting for the SECS is kind of taking a step back from the SECS report a little bit and throwing more advertisements to CastNet. But people who are in general are interested in casting for the SECS also may want to hear about other tournament events that happen out there, And Caster's network is not just about the SECS, which is what I like about it, and also what is cool about it. It's also connected with other things, like if I hear about another tournament, I'll post about it to the people in Castnet and let them know about it. So basically what I'm trying to say is people who are involved with casting for the SECS through Castnet, they can potentially get themselves involved with other events outside of the SECS, which I think will be overall beneficial for not only the people who want to cast, the casters, and also and also beneficial to the people who like to follow the cast, the viewers, but it'll also be in general good for the whole entire community because it kind of gives some exposure to the other casters, gives them some way, some form to actually find out about other events and maybe get a easier connection to another tournament through that network. So that's the whole idea behind Castnet, by the way. So outside casters, all this goes a long way to say outside casters, we're going to change that clause in our rules to reflect more directly what I just explained here. So you basically have to go through Castnet for anybody who wants a TLDR version or TLDL, too long didn't listen, a version of that. So yeah, you're going to have to come through Castnet. And the reason I bring that up is because there was, I think, 4 people who wanted to cast this week, and 2 of them I had to turn down. The third one actually got in contact with Castnet, and the 4th one I don't remember. So anyway, outside casters, there you go. And the last bullet point down here in the issue report, because this is a very hefty issue report, is the rules and you. Now, what I mean by you, I mean specifically the casters and the players. Now, for everybody who hasn't picked up on it already, I'm a pretty huge stickler for the rules, which means that if there's something written down in the rules, then I will follow that pretty much word for word. And if it's not there, like if there's some rule that needs to be made, I will take the time to go and make that rule to make sure it makes things happen in an ethical way and a fair way for everybody, and also just makes things flow easier, like the whole entire Castnet thing, and also the whole entire rules about waiting times between matches. So what I bring up this last point for is just to let you guys know that we expect everybody who's involved in the tournament, except with the exception of viewers. Viewers, they're free to their own opinions, of course. But we expect everybody who's playing and also casting and potentially adminning for us to understand what the rules mean, what the rules are, and not necessarily know them word for word, but know that if we say, hey, something's going on, or if the admins react a certain way, we're likely following what's written down in the rules. And if you want to go look at it, it's there on the Battlefy information page. So it's there for you guys to look at if you need to look at it, if you need to argue something. Refer to the rules first and then come to us, the admins, and talk to us about it afterwards. If it's not written in the rules and it's a really big issue, something like the prize drops and feedings, like that's not written in the rules yet. But if something like that is not written in the rules, then we will discuss it with that team directly, or those people directly, and address it then, and also go back later and add it into the rules because it needs to be there. And and for anybody who's also wondering, in general, that's kind of how rules are established. Like, a lot of these rules were never really written down. They were kind of just implied, especially when the tournament used to be smaller, such as the rules on lobby creation. That wasn't written down. That was kind of implied. Like, the higher ranked team is supposed to make the lobby. That was not written down. That is a new rule that was added in actually last week. Actually, no, this week. And by this week, I mean, like, the day of the SECS for the 24th. So that was a recent addition, recently added rule to let people know, word for word, what we expect as far as lobby creations go. And also the rule on higher ranked, so like what we mean by higher ranked, that one is actually a result of people asking, okay, so if I'm ranked 34, am I the higher rank than the person who's ranked 4th? Now, of course, me personally, I think as implied, that if you're ranked 4th, you're a higher rank than somebody who's ranked 46th. But then again, we do have to write it out. It should be written out word for word, just to clear all the confusion in the air all at once. Just to say, okay, if you're ranked 46th, you are not a higher rank than the person who's ranked 4th. There. So anyway, the rules in you basically means understand the rules, guys. Just understand the rules. We expect you guys to understand the rules. That's why we write them, so you guys can refer to them amongst yourselves and know that if we make a call, it's because of something that happened in the rules. So, I'm a little bit out of breath, but like I said before, guys, the issue report takes up a lot of time because that is the main reason why I make the whole entire series, or this series of videos. For anybody who's also wondering, I used to write these out, and by write these out I mean like if we had a big issue or something like this happen, I used to just sit there and type it all out. And I was like, you know what? I got recording software. I got music to play in the background to entertain people. I got pictures and a slide. I can make a slideshow. I am not writing this down anymore, so I'm just gonna go ahead and speak it. Much easier, a little bit more stressful because I have to make sure I watch what I say. But it's a living, guys. It's life. So as far as the awesome report, the very first point to point out is the German language casting. So through Casters Network, we found a caster who wanted to cast for the Sunday Evening Cup series, and he cast in freaking German. It was not just him, it was like him and a co-caster. And guys, we had German coverage for the first time that I know of for this SECS. And he not only casted for like, 2 or 3 games, he casted for like every single game except like, I don't know, 5 games, maybe 5 or 6. Every single game except for like the last 2 rounds, I think. Because it was very late where he was, and his co-caster was very late where they were. So shout out to Blacklight92, I think that was what your caster name was. Thank you for providing us with the German coverage. That was freaking awesome. I thought it was the most interesting thing in the world. We also a huge shout out to all the other casters that are casting with us through Castnet, and also through all the other casters who are casting with us because they're casting with us through the SECS. So I have a list, and you guys didn't need to see that. This is the beauty of doing this sometimes. But let's see, where's my list? My list. It exists somewhere over here. I'll turn off the music so you guys can enjoy it while I search for this list of things. Oh right, it was an email, that's what it was. And the list is here. Alright. So I have a list of all the casters who are involved with us through Castnet, and also I have a list of all the casters who are involved with us in general. So as far as all the casters who are involved with us in Castnet, I wanted to make sure I gave them a shout out because I mentioned last week that they're casters, but I don't remember what their names are because I don't have a list prepared. But here's the list I have. So shout out to the captain for casting with us, Flagon, Nubatrain, Chipikatu, Albi, Blacklight92, which is the German caster, Thantos, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Whiskey Flask, RMZD, Tekio, Raggy, and Rax. And also, shout out to our future casters who could potentially be casting with us, Wicked and KLF. So shout out to all those casters, shout out to all you guys, thank you guys for casting with us, thank you guys for showing interest in the tournament. We love you guys, we love the fact you guys are excited, and you guys are helping us out tremendously by giving us more bodies to put into the casting seats for these matches that are ticketed. Now, as far as the other casters who are officially casting with us, shout out to Helium, of course, freaking Helium. He controls the main camera seat. He is the one who's casting directly to NA Dota's Twitch page. So shout out to him, of course. Shout out to Smoif, one of my personal friends. Well, not necessarily personal friends, but one of my casting friends. He's casting officially for us too, and by officially I mean he's pretty much there every week, casting essentially every single match, every single round. So in my book, that counts as official caster, guys. And also shout out to Tag Attack. I think Tag Attack is who co-cast with Helium. I can't remember. Sephiroth, I think it's another caster for us. And Bear Panda. I don't think he's casted since like the 2nd week, but he's still one of our admins, and he's really helping us out whenever we need another admin in a pinch. So shout out to all those guys. If I missed anybody, I apologize heavily. I don't have an actual list of all the official casters. That was just me remembering off the top of my head. I feel like I should know everybody by then, or by now, because they're kind of the guys who also have the admin tickets. Anywho, shout out to everybody. Moving on to the next point, slightly faster tournament. So, if you guys recall, the chat comment of the week was referring to the MLG being played this weekend, which means that a lot of people are tuning into that, which means that there were potentially a few teams. Oh, let me turn this music down. Which means there were potentially a few teams that were deciding to sit out this event or this week because of the MLG. So slightly faster tournament happened because of that. So that said, we finished a whole entire 1 hour earlier than normal. That is right, guys. We finished our tournament events at 12:30 instead of 1:30 in the morning. So I don't know if that's a clappable applause or clappable moment, because we still kind of ended late relative to normal time periods for people who have 8 to 5s or 9 to 5s if you have those, or people who just have class that starts at 8 in the morning and just refuse to go to bed on time every night. Like me right now, it's 1:33 in the morning and I got class at 8. Anywho, slightly faster tournament happened because of that, so that was pretty cool. Also, check-in and chat logs. I want to make sure I pointed this out. I mentioned before that I used to type out a whole bunch of stuff, like the reports and stuff. I used to always type those out. I do not type out the reports anymore, but I do still publish chat logs. And by chat logs, I mean check-in logs and specific chat logs. Like if I have an individual chat with somebody that was important, such as the chat with the two teams, Latex Wolves in top 5, such as those specific chats, I'll post those so that you guys can see the conversation that we were having between one another when these issues were going on, such as the courier feeding, and also other things such as a team wrongfully getting disqualified, which I need to go publish those before I forget. But those chat logs will be posted in a link that I'll link in the description below, so you guys can check out that if you really want to go look at those. There should be a long list of those somewhere. I actually need to get that list compiled. Wait, no, it's not a list. It basically takes you to my Google Drive, where I basically keep a log of all this stuff. It's not really a list. It's just a few documents. Like one's called serious, one's called playful. In the one called serious is where you find the big issues that happen, such as like people complain about somebody who's being a ringer twice. People complaining about somebody cheating or something like that, or stream hacking, whatever. So you'll find those kind of reports in there, or those kind of chat logs in there. And in the fun one, you'll find, I don't know, things I felt that people might want to read about, but it's not really all that big of a deal. Like somebody forgetting to name themselves the right name. Yes, I'm looking at you, Team Chibasu. Yes, I'm looking at you. Anywho, moving on because I want to hurry and finish this. Shout out to the community. Yes, shout out to the community. This week was freaking awesome. I don't know how many viewers we get on average each week, but I did see some pretty cool looking numbers, like 250 for one match and 120 for the other. I was like, holy crap, guys. People are actually watching our stuff. This is freaking awesome. The viewers are loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that the viewers are loving it. I'm also loving the fact that players, teams, and also organizations out there are getting their names out there, such as Top 5, such as Wolfpack, such as Team Chibasu. They're also getting their names out there through this tournament that's getting featured on Dota TV. And it's actually getting featured at a very reasonable price for a lot of people. Just $1 for the ticket, and you basically get access to all the matches of all the season, and it's freaking good deal. Yes, there are quite a few stomps here and there, but that is distracting from the point, guys. The fact of the matter is, you are seeing a whole bunch of games get played by up-and-coming teams, potentially teams that have competed against bigger names. I'm trying to think. Oh, Unnerve. I think Unnerve, they competed against a big name before. I want to say they competed against Dignitas. I don't know if that's entirely true. And also, we had Purge play for one of our tournaments. So, I mean, what the heck, guys? What more do you want from a tournament? That's all I gotta ask. So shout out to the community. Thank you guys for watching us. Thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you guys for buying the tickets. Thank you guys for watching our games. And also thank you guys for spreading the word about the Sunday Evening Cup series, because it is helping out tremendously. Now, Clueless Thoughts. I'm not going to take too much time talking about this one, or speaking of this, because, well, see, I kind of have my point written out, but I spent a long time talking about the issues. Okay, whatever, I get a stab at it, because this is my moment. It says brief talk, so I don't have to talk too long. GG calls. So I mentioned before that the other Latex Wolves in top 5, they both basically got banned for the same reasons, essentially feeding items to viewers. But the reason why Latex Wolves, who were on the losing side, like they weren't the ones who bought the curries and sent them to the fountain, the reason why they're getting banned as well is because the GG call should have been made a long time ago, and it wasn't made. As in, like, Warlock was level 4 at the 14-minute mark, and they were getting their base, like their tier 3s were getting torn down, and Warlock didn't have his ulti up, and they were just 5-man doting. And by they I mean top 5. Now the reason why I said that this GG call should have been made is because there's, in my eyes, there's no foreseeable comeback at that point. Like, the enemy team, everybody's level 11 or higher, and your Warlock is still level 4. Which, granted, Warlock is a support, I understand, but I think the highest level at that point was like a level 8 on their team, and they were just dying anyway. Like, just dying like they were nothing, because their items were so bad. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because we kind of have this unestablished rule of when do you call GG. Like, nobody really knows, nobody really wants to put a title or tag on it, but we've all been in those games where the game just seems so freaking lost. Like, the top lane is getting destroyed, the middle lane is getting destroyed, the bottom lane is doing decently. And like me personally, I've had a game like this recently too, where I played a Shadow Shaman. Like, the scenario I'm referring to actually happened to me. Where I was playing like a bottom safe lane Shadow Shaman on the Radiant side with my carrier, I forget who it was. But long story short, top lane was getting destroyed by Earth Spirit, I think, and the mid lane was getting destroyed by somebody like a Puck or something like that. And our entire team, well, not our entire team, one person on our team was just pretty much ready to give up. Like, he was like calling GG like 12 minutes in, and I was just saying, yo bro, chill out, we got this. So long story short, we pulled back, we won the game, and you guys can watch this match if you want to. It's one where I played Shadow Shaman. I can't tell you guys exactly which one it was, but it was like one of the POVs below 55 or below 57. So for anybody who wants to really go look it up, it's there somewhere. Actually, no, hold on, it wasn't my game. It wasn't my game. It was a game posted by somebody else. Ah, okay, I'll link it. So it was a game that I played that it wasn't my POV, it was somebody else's POV. But I was in the game, and that game we won because we kept playing, we kept fighting. And the reason why I wanted to bring up GG calling is because, like, when do you actually call GG? Like, when do you give up? Like, when is it acceptable to say that a team should give up? Because a lot of times I found in Dota where, like, people are stuck with this dream or stuck with this fantasy that, hey, I can still come back from this even though we're behind 10,000 gold on the gold grab. We only have one tier 3 tower left, and all my other towers are gone. And the enemy team has all their tier 1s gone, but all their tier 2s and tier 3s are perfectly fine, like haven't been touched at all. But we can still come back. Like there's always that false dream that's in a lot of people's head. And granted, it deserves to be there because Dota's a game of throws. At the end of the day, like, teams do throw very hard a lot of times. I've done it a lot of times. Because Cool Blue is a bad player who plays supports, which makes it even worse. Because if you throw as a support, you pretty much throw the entire game, because you're kind of the reliable stun. Anyway, another topic, another conversation. But when do you call GGs before it becomes obnoxious? Like do you call GGs soon, or do you call GGs extremely late? I don't know. That's one thing that we haven't figured out, and by we I mean we as a community. So I just basically want to just throw the thought out there. I didn't really want to provide any absolute answers because I don't have an answer. Honestly, I think we need a surrender feature in the pubs, but people will flame up, down, left, and right that we don't need it. And honestly, I think that those people who will argue that point heavily are not seeing the bigger picture of you're wasting our time here. Anyway, that's a whole entire another topic. That's a whole entire other can of worms. I will be doing a off-topic video eventually about that, but just not anytime soon. So in summary, congratulations to Team Love. You guys have won this week's tournament, so you guys will be claiming that $100 at the very end of the SECS season. So congratulations. Lincoln's over Vanguard every time. I do agree. Lincoln's over Vanguard is a little bit more sustainable late game. Anyway, prize drops and feeding, guys. If teams are caught feeding prize drops, keep in mind the rule that we had. If you have 3 couriers die within 3 minutes, that is a ban for next week. If you have 4 couriers die within 3 minutes, actually no. If you have 3 couriers die within 3 minutes, that starts the chain of events. Like any courier death after that adds on to it. Like I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there now, because we just don't want your couriers to die. But see, actually no, that seems kind of unfair. It's either the reason why it's the reason why you can have 2 couriers die within 3 minutes of each other is because I do foresee the potential scenario where you're in the enemy fountain, you buy a courier, you send it out to the secret shop, and then you send it back, and then it gives you your item, and then it dies, trying to go back to base. So that's 2 couriers dead within a 3-minute time period. But even then, it's still pushing it really heavily, because that's kind of encouraging people to have, kill 2 couriers before the game's over, which is not our intentions. We don't want you feeding couriers at all, because that's abusing the system at the end of the day. Yeah, sure, you might be giving an extra viewer an extra item, but guys, we're not necessarily about giving out free items here. We're about exposing the teams, giving them some coverage, giving them some exposure to the community. Not necessarily trying to pad everybody's pockets with items, because if we do that, we kind of flood the economy. It becomes crappy. Anyway, so price drops in feeding. Keep in mind that if you have 3 couriers die within 3 minutes, then that will be a ban for next week, and any courier after that will basically be a ban for the next season, which is a heavy ban, a heavy penalty. And the reason for that heavy penalty is because, well, it's a heavy penalty because we don't want people to do that. Oh, and also for anybody who thinks they're going to be smart and have 3 couriers die on the very last season, like the very last match of the season, where it's like 1 ban, but they're not going to be in the next week anyway. What that's basically going to result in, just to let you know ahead of time, that's going to result in the ban for next season, as in like that whole entire roster will not be able to play. So don't try that, guys, because it will not work. Especially if I'm still the admin next week or next season, which I likely will be. I don't know. I'm taking a while to think about that, because I have some big classes coming next semester. But technically, I have big classes coming up this semester too, or going on this semester, and I'm still managing. So I'll probably still be here, guys. Sorry if you hate me. Moving on. Check-in and chat logs. So check-in and chat logs. That link will be provided in the description, like I said before. So link, drive, folder. That link will be provided in the description below, so keep on the lookout for that. If you guys do want to check in or check out the weekly check-in logs, which is, it won't be much. It'll just be me spamming a certain message a bunch, and a whole bunch of pages of that. But outside of that, that's really what it is. That's really all it is. Just like the first, from 4:30 to like 5:20 or something like that, of just spamming chat. So those are available if you guys want to look at that. Also, if important conversations do happen, they will be posted in that link that I do provide in the description, so you can check it out there. And I think that is it. Yes, that is it. So that is it for this week's Sunday Evening Cup Series report. It lasted for a whole entire about 50 minutes, 48 minutes roughly. So I think it's on par with last week's. So I didn't do too bad, guys. This has become a standard thing. But I feel that we need to spend a lot of time talking about issues, and we also need, just in general, I need to spend a lot of time talking to you guys about things that are going on, because that is the whole point of this whole entire SECS report. So if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be doing my job, right? So anyway, my name is Cool Blue. Sorry you guys are staring at a black screen right now. I'll actually go to the previous, so you guys can stare at Ursa looking all cute and whatnot. But like I said, my name is Cool Blue. I just brought you guys a Sunday Evening Cup Series report for November 24th, 2013. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys whenever.